Let's give it up for Matthew, guys.
Cool. Yeah, my name is Matthew. It's kind of crazy being here because I was sitting there last year and just like watching everybody who was like where I wanted to be, like speaking about being an entrepreneur and quitting their jobs. It just felt so impossible for me, like at the time. And so when I first started following David, I was really pushing just to get over like approaching girls and things like that. And I was always doing all these other things to distract myself from it. Like I had all these hobbies, I was going out every night, and I wasn't really making it a priority. So I wasn't making a lot of progress on it. And that's really what started changing things, was when I realized that I want to figure this out now. I want to make as much progress as I can because I don't want to keep waiting like year after year and just making small progress. Because if I didn't change anything, I felt like I was going to just regret it for the rest of my life. So I made a challenge for myself every weekend. I was going out and approaching girls on the boardwalk. Like I lived in San Diego and that was like terrifying for me, but doing it every week and consistently, I just started getting used to it, and it just became like a normal thing for me. And so I really like changed my dating life around. And I was a software engineer and I had fixed my dating life, but now I wanted to expand into my business life. And I was at like this point where I felt stuck at my job. I like software engineering, but I didn't want to keep going up the corporate ladder. And it's kind of all I had known. I've done that for the last 5 years since graduating, and I became way more social, and it wasn't really fitting me. So I was at this like point where I needed to make a shift. But like I had invested so much time into it. I was afraid of leaving that behind because I was making good money, like I had good social status. And the idea of throwing that away and the fear of like what people would think about me, that was the huge part that was holding me back. And when I was at the Houston event last year, I saw some of the other guys who had started their businesses, and some of them just quit outright because they want to put their back against the wall and just make it work. Like you can go into a business while keeping your full-time job and eventually make enough money and then quit your job. But for me, in my case, I had a lot of money saved up and I still was afraid to quit. And it was really because I was just so afraid of what people would think about me. And I was also afraid of failing. So to start getting my foot in the door with that and trying to leave my current job, I started working on a SaaS product. Like every week I started very small because I wanted to stay consistent with it. I would dedicate maybe an hour or two every week. And eventually I started building that up to like 5 hours a week, 10 hours a week, 15 hours a week. And eventually I was hitting a bottleneck where I just wasn't making enough progress, and I knew I needed to leave my job and do it, but I was afraid to go all in with that. And that's when I went to the Houston event. I saw all these people who had quit their job and went all in. And at the time I wanted to change my full-time job. Like I wasn't learning anything. It was just a waste of time at that point. I really wanted to try sales. And at the Houston event, I met another guy. He's like a pro solar sales coach. And the opportunity came to me. It was like a perfect opportunity to quit and go do this thing. But I was just scared of like what people would think about me, like leaving a comfortable job to go all in on this one thing. But I realized like instead of playing it safe and staying where I was at and like working like a SaaS product on the side, I would rather just give all my attention to one thing for like the next 3 months. So I decided to I quit my job because I knew I would learn so much more the next 3 months, and I would have a potential to make even more money than what I'm currently making. And it was going to help me go into like being an entrepreneur and trying to build my own business. So the big thing was just not worrying about what everybody was going to say about me, because I knew people were going to say like I was stupid for doing this. Like I got a lot of flack from my parents for that. But I just told myself I'm going to jump into solar sales and I'm just going to completely focus on it for the next 3 months. Like I didn't care how bad I was at it. I didn't care how much I hated it. I was going to learn sales, learn a new skill, and figure out if I like it. And if I don't, then now I have sales skills and I can start working on a business that I actually like. So it wasn't really about making money. It was just learning as much as I can so I can eventually invest in something that I'm truly passionate about and go all in on that one thing. So I did sales over the summer, like door-to-door solar sales, and it sounds crazy looking back on it, but I knew I could do it, and I got pretty good at it. I was making consistent money, and by the end of it, I realized that it wasn't something that I wanted to continue doing. I had the potential to make a lot of money with it, like $300,000 more per year, but I realized, like, if I'm not doing something that I truly want to do every year, then I'm just trading my time for my money, and it just wasn't worth it for me. So the next thing I wanted to do was I wanted to try making content. I wanted to start sharing this entire journey from quitting my job and mentally, like, what I was going through to where I was now. I wanted to share that entire journey. So I would struggle with accountability sometimes. So I wanted to challenge myself to a 3-month challenge where I would be posting one reel every single day on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, and I posted a reel saying that, hey, I'm doing this challenge. I'm going to do it every single day for the next 90 days, and that was the way that I was going to stay accountable for it. And starting that, like, each day, I didn't really know what I was going to talk about each day for my videos. Like, I was struggling to speak on camera, but, like, I knew I could figure it out. Like, if this is the only thing I'm focusing on, I'm going to figure it out. And for the first 30 days, I was getting no traction really. But on the other side, like, I was really enjoying it. And that's kind of what kept me going. Like, I wasn't getting traction, and I wasn't sure if this is what I wanted to continue doing long term, but I made myself the goal of, I'm doing this for 90 days no matter what. And I knew there was going to be a learning curve with this, and that's kind of what kept me pushing. So I did 30 days, I got to 60 days, and I was still struggling, but I felt like I was improving, and I was still enjoying it. And I was sharing my journey of, like, quitting my job, but one thing that I really wanted to share was my journey of going through social anxiety. Because, like, I had really bad social anxiety growing up. Like, I struggled to make friends, and I got over it when I was 22 years old, and I made a big friend circle. I started dating. I started, like, approaching girls, and I really wanted to share this with everybody. And when I started sharing this on social media, I didn't really care if it blew up or not. It was just something personally that I cared about and I wanted to share. And I started posting videos on that, being, like, super vulnerable. And I remember my very first video on that I posted, I posted the video, and then I just put my phone down for like 2 days because I was scared to look at it because it's super, like, embarrassing for me to post about it. And after 2 days, I, like, looked at my phone, and it was starting to get traction. Like, it was at 6,000 views, and I gained, like, a bunch of followers from it. And then I kept posting more videos on it, and some of those early videos that I posted, they started gaining traction, and I started getting more and more followers. Like, I gained like 2,000 followers the next week, and it just started snowballing. I just started doubling down on that kind of content. And within the next, like, 30 days, I went from, like, I was at 700 followers, and now I'm at 10,000. And just doubling down on that. And I started getting all these people messaging me about who could relate to that, like, that struggle with social anxiety. And I was just responding to every comment, and it was very, like, fulfilling for me. Like, it was a good sign that I'm going in the right direction with this. And so I started creating, like, my own freebie for it. I started learning about how to market myself, like learning how to automatically respond to comments and things like that. And I've started distributing the freebie out. I have an email list, and I have like 150 people now signed up over the last 3 weeks, and it's just going to continue to build. And now I'm going to be releasing my first paid product, and then I'll be starting like one-on-one coaching here soon. And it's just because I set a goal for myself beforehand. I set out these guidelines saying I need to do this every week, no matter what, and I just stuck to it. And it really didn't matter like what the outputs were like if it was going to work or if it wasn't going to work, because at the end of it, I wasn't going to regret it. Like, I didn't want to keep working. I didn't want to live my life year after year and knowing that I didn't at least give my all to do this one thing. Like, I would rather try, give it my all and fail and figure out if I like it or not, then just always be wondering. And that's pretty much it.
Parallels I see with what you said versus what I said. Because I think of key moments in your life versus the long-term grinds. Like you quitting your job was a key moment. For me, it was also quitting my software job. Like, right? Like that wasn't like some big grind of like, I'm going to work up and quit my job. It was like, no, eventually one day I had to walk into my boss's office and be like, I'm going to try and do something else, man. And then that set off like a little bit of a chain of events, which is also something that you did that I did, which is you're kind of like jumping around without hesitation from like I'm gonna focus on like approaching girls right now to, you know what, I'm gonna do like the door-to-door sales. Actually, I want to focus on content. And I think a lot of times your biggest enemy becomes not willing to jump around. I mean, I did personal training, I did software, then I went back to work in software a little bit after the personal training, then I tried doing a podcast with Dave, then I tried writing a blog, then eventually I got to the YouTube. I think like that being able to just like bounce around a little bit like without getting too concerned about the long term is what eventually gets you to the thing you want to be at. You were able to create urgency, right? Because unless you create urgency in your life, like if I don't do this shit like tomorrow, like I'm fucked, which is not true, but unless you like think like that, it's always okay to deal with it tomorrow or next week or next month. Am I gonna waste another like 3 years of my life at this job? Like I gotta go in and quit tomorrow. Like until I got there, I didn't do it. And then the same thing with content.
Talking about like jumping around between things, like sometimes you're afraid to commit on something, but just focus on one thing and do it for several months. Just because there's going to be a learning curve with it, and it's going to be hard, but at the end of it, you're going to have like a good taste of if this is something that you're good at, if you like, or if you actually want to keep doing it.
Now that you have 10K, how many girls sliding in your DMs?
I mean, a lot that have social anxiety.
Let's do a few yeses first, man. We gotta
I need that.
Luke's over here dozing off. All right, guys, let's do it. 3 or 4 good. 3, 2, 1.
Yes!
3, 2, 1.
Yes! Yes!
And one more.
Yes!